Hello, Dazzle. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me today. I'm glad that you're here.
Watch out, Bear! Right behind you!
There's nothing behind me, only my shadow. Oh.
Today, we're going to be diving into the Darkest Tales reimagining of Peter Pan, a section that, like Little Red Riding Hood and Jack, gives us another complex take on the loss of innocence. This time, though, the game delves deeper into how trauma and the cycle of violence can turn even the most innocent into perpetrators, showing the lasting damage that unchecked suffering can cause. In the original Peter Pan story, Peter is the eternal child, a symbol of freedom and innocence who rejects the constraints of adulthood. But the Darkest Tale flips this on its head. Here, Peter's refusal to grow up isn't a whimsical choice. It's a manifestation of deep-seated trauma. Peter, once the joyful, carefree leader of the Lost Boys, has become something far darker. Instead of playing games, he's lashing out, not as a mischievous child, but as someone who's been trapped in a cycle of violence, acting out his pain on others. This version of Peter Pan reveals a theme central to the game, that those who suffer often end up perpetuating harm themselves, sometimes as a way to cope with their own trauma. For Peter, this trauma stems from his loneliness, his endless fight against the adults who don't understand, and the unresolved grief he feels over the lost boys who didn't survive. By turning Peter from a playful symbol of innocence into a tragic figure who inflicts suffering on others, the game explores how trauma, when left unhealed, can twist even the purest intentions into something destructive.
Not bad for a miserable old bear. You saved me from that shadow.
You little brat. Did nobody ever teach you manners?
You're all the same, you grown-ups. You think you can teach us how to live, how to be wise. But just because you don't have much longer to live, it doesn't mean you can carry on living through us.
I don't claim to be the wisest, but I'm not stupid enough to believe you're a normal kid. You stink of death. You were controlling that shadow, weren't you?
You're a shrewd one, Grandpa. I'll make you an offer. I'll allow you to drink from my fountain of youth. A single drop could make you at least 10 years younger. And I'll let you go. I'd rather not fight. It would risk ruining my flawless skin.
This thing. Don't tell me it's...
It's an elixir of youth. Don't make that face. All those brats ever thought about was playing games. It didn't take much for me to lure them with my pan flute, like so many mice.
I killed those other demons because it was my duty. But with you, it's personal. I'm gonna cut you to pieces.
Peter's actions in this story arc are not just the antics of a child. They're the calculated lashing out of someone who has become trapped in his own pain. This exploration of the cycle of violence adds depth to the Darkest Tales' overarching theme of corrupted innocence. Much like Little Red Riding Hood's transformation into a predator and Jack's obsession with wealth leading to madness, Peter's refusal to grow up has mutated into an inability to process his grief and anger. Instead of letting go of his pain, he clings to it, drawing others into his suffering and spreading the trauma that was once inflicted upon him. What's particularly striking here is that Peter isn't entirely unsympathetic. We can understand why he's become this way, even if we can't excuse his actions. In the game, the player encounters traces of the carefree boy that he once was, hinting that the original Peter still exists somewhere inside. But the Darkest Tales makes it clear that his past pain has morphed him into someone who can no longer distinguish between playful tricks and outright cruelty. This is a deeply tragic twist on the Peter Pan character, emphasizing that pain, when ignored, doesn't just fade, it festers, turning even the innocent into instruments of harm. In each of these dark retellings, The Darkest Tale presents a version of innocence corrupted by the harsh realities of its world. Little Red Riding Hood's story was one of trauma and vengeance, while Jack's was a cautionary tale of unchecked greed. Peter Pan, we see a final evolution of this theme, the transformation of a victim into a villain, trapped in a cycle of harm. Each of these characters, rather than simply losing their innocence, has been reshaped by the very darkness they thought they could avoid or escape. This broader theme reflects an even darker, more complex understanding of fairy tales. In The Darkest Tales, the line between hero and villain isn't just blurred, it's erased. Each character shows us a different facet of what happens when innocence encounters trauma. Rather than teaching lessons about bravery, morality, or adventure, the game tells us that the world of fairy tales has become a place where survival, not morality, dictates behavior, and innocence is simply another illusion to be shattered. Peter Pan's story is a powerful reminder that the cycle of violence is often fueled by unresolved trauma. In The Darkest Tales, characters like Little Red, Jack, and Peter Pan show us how the harsh realities of the world can corrupt even the purest among us. Their stories challenge us to confront the shadows within those once innocent tales and reflect on how trauma, if left unchecked, can warp and reshape us. In this twisted world, Darkest Tales reminds us that growing up isn't about preserving innocence. It's about learning to heal. Without that healing, even the most beloved fairy tale characters can become part of the darkness that they once feared. Well, that's about it for my rambling today. Thanks for coming and spending some time with me. If you like my rambling, then click on that like button. It really does help. And until we talk again, you guys be sure to take care of yourselves. Bye!